Good morning. I'm thrilled to be here. And I wanted to really congratulate Kat and her team on the amazing work they do. It is incredibly important because, as all of you know, the numbers aren't good. 97% of creative leads are men, yet women make up 50% of the population. And the ad industry is not alone. No industry has reached gender equality yet. Women started graduating at the same rates as men in 1981, that's a while ago. And yet, women still hold less than 20% of seats in Congress, and 5% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. So a couple weeks ago, we released the Women in the Workplace study in partnership with McKinsey & Company. We looked at pipeline data from 118 companies, and we surveyed almost 30,000 employees. And sadly, the study tells the same story. Despite modest progress, women are underrepresented at every level in companies. And conventional wisdom is this is due to attrition, right? Women are leaving at higher rates than men, but the women in our study are leaving at the same or lower rates than men. And in fact, at the current rate of progress, it will take 100 years to reach gender equality in the C-suite in the United States. This is hard work, but work worth doing because gender equality benefits everybody. We know that companies with more women in leadership perform better. We know that diverse teams produce better results, and the people on them are happier about their work and more likely to stay. And we know that couples that share household responsibilities more evenly have stronger marriages, lower divorce rates, and let's get going this morning, and more sex. The study also shows some signs of progress. CEO commitment to gender diversity is high. A lot of companies, particularly big companies, have the right employee programs in place. They offer flexibility programs, training. So you could say there's a lot of building blocks in place for change. And some companies have started to make big, bold moves. You know, we all know that Intel has invested $300 million in diversity programming, which is amazing. Salesforce has said really publicly they're going to close their pay gap. And companies are starting to set gender targets, and some of them even publicly. And for example, McKinsey & Company, our partner on the study, Dominic Barton, their CEO, has said that over the next 5 years, 50% of their hires in North America will be women, and that's up from 30% today, so that's really moving the numbers. And DDB has their Better by Half. I always remember that my husband's my better half, their Better by Half program. So what's going wrong? Why aren't we seeing more change? It's because the culture of work and culture more broadly disadvantages women. So the women who participated in our study, and 15,000 of them did, they see an uneven playing field. They're 4 times more likely to think their gender disadvantages them at work and makes it harder for them to advance, and twice as likely to think it will make them harder to advance in the future. And the data show they're right. The study actually shows signs that women are advancing at slower rates than men. The study also points to what we call the leadership ambition gap, which has been pretty widely publicized. So it says the leadership ambition gap still exists. Women are less interested in top spots than men. But the reason may surprise you. Conventional wisdom is it's rooted in concern over balancing work and family, right? Women are so concerned about balancing work and family, they're less interested in senior leadership. But in fact, the women in our study cite stress and pressure as the primary reason they don't want to lead. And this is women with and without children. In fact, parents are more interested in top leadership spots than non-parents in the study. Having kids is actually positively correlated with leadership. So why? What is going on? So at Lean In, we believe this is rooted in stereotypes, right? Age-old stereotypes that women should nurture and men should lead. And we know what happens at work is women rock a tightrope that men don't. When women assert themselves, when they take the lead, they're often less liked. And when they're really well liked, they're often seen as less competent. And ask yourself, if there's someone on your team, if there's a man on your team who has really high performance marks and is really well liked by everybody, you're really likely to advocate for him and promote him. What about a woman on your team? Equally high marks for performance, but just not as well liked. Who are you more likely to promote? Exactly. We also know that all of us, men and women, underestimate women's performance and overestimate men's. In fact, amazingly, moms overestimate their son's crawling ability and underestimate their daughters. And we do this to ourselves as well. Women are less likely to have confidence in our own abilities and remember mistakes longer. Men, on the other hand, are more confident in their abilities. The study also shows us there's still inequality at home. And of course, if women are doing more at home, it's harder for them to do more at work. At every level of seniority, the women in our study were at least 9 times more likely to say they do housework, and 9 times more likely to say they do childcare, and 4 times more likely to say they do housework. What also is interesting is the numbers don't look much better when you look at the younger generation. Although young couples are more likely to share housework, women under 30 still do a majority of childcare. And this isn't because men are bad guys. This is certainly not because women enjoy doing housework more than men do. It's because we all grow up with media that tells us that women are nurturers, women are focused on family, and men are focused on work, and men are focused on leading. I don't know how many of you, have anyone here take Harvard's implicit association test? Has anyone ever taken it? So it looks at our unconscious biases, how we make connections. 76% of participants more directly associate female with family and male with career. And I, embarrassingly enough, grew up with a working mother, and I do what I do every day, which is support women's leadership, and I fall into that 76%. So if you haven't taken it, Google it, Harvard IAT, and spend 15 minutes. It is really humbling and really eye-opening. So stereotypes are powerful, they're deeply rooted, and they're self-reinforcing. So what do we need to do? We need to talk about them, address them directly, and we need to change our culture, and that's where all of you come in. You guys know this better than I do, but Americans see up to 3,000 ads a day. So you're really showing us what the world we live in looks like and the role that we play in it. And I know about you, but I want my kids to grow up watching more Like a Girl ads and more Kleenex's Time to Chain ads than any ads that I see out of Axe or Carl's Jr. or some of the other brands. There's the old saying, you can't be what you can't see, and you can show us a world without gender stereotypes, where women and men can be their whole selves, and where kids can grow up to be anything they want to be. And what's great is this isn't just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. As many of you probably know, I hope you know, about 18 months ago, we released the Leaning Collection on Getty Images. So it's a collection of now 6,000 images of women nurturing and leading, men nurturing and leading, really breaking down gender stereotypes. The first year of the collection, sales doubled of all the images in the collection. It's now growing at 30%. Also, Getty obviously tracks searches, image searches, and it shows that there's an appetite for change. Searches for dad changing diaper are up 7 times. And searches for female business executive are up a whopping 22 times. There's some evidence in your industry that doing the right thing pays off as well. We know that Always has said they've seen brand lift in all the markets where Like a Girl has played. Dove's Real Beauty campaign is widely held with driving Dove's revenues and sales from $2.5 billion to $4 billion. But really, we need all of you to share your success stories to show that agencies that do great work on gender and the companies that commission it are seeing real business results. And we hope you'll submit your work to the Glass Lion. We're really proud of the role we've participated in bringing it to life and really think it can be part of helping drive change. I wasn't out late last night, but there's also things all of you in the room can do, all of us can do starting now. So we know women underestimate their abilities and are less likely to go for challenges. What I would say is you can't change the way you feel, but you can change the way you think. I call it playing healthy head games. The next time you're not sure you can do something or not sure you want to go for it, remember the guy sitting next to you probably thinks he can, and he's probably right, and you can too. And all of us can take time to really understand bias, and not just gender bias, but bias and how it works and how it's holding us all back. One thing each and every one of us, women and men, can start doing today is listen for what we call the language of the likability penalty. So if you hear a woman called aggressive, out for herself, self-promotional, just not as well liked, stop the person saying it and just ask, what exactly did she do? And when you hear what she did, just follow up very calmly with, if a man did the same thing, would you feel the same way? And the answer will often be no. And actually run yourself through that very same exercise the next time you have an adverse response to something a woman says or does. I do this all the time now, and it is humbling. Someone will say something, and I'll have kind of a strong response, and I walk myself through would I feel the same way if a man did it, and the answer is often no. And then finally, for the few men in the room, I wish we were more. They were out later last night. They're on the way. You can do more at home. Obviously, doing more housework will make your wife happier, but it's also good for your kids. Daughters who see their fathers do chores see more opportunities for themselves as they grow up. And sons who are raised in more equal homes, they create more equal homes themselves. Equality begets equality. So I don't know about any of you, but I don't want to wait 100 years to get there. That means no one in this room will see gender equality in our lifetimes. Just think about that for a second. So I really believe that all of us, if we start making small and big changes and do it today, we can change the numbers and we can change the future. So I hope you'll join me in doing that.